All right. And it looks like we may not need to screen share because it might be that my pictures after all of that aren't going to come up. All right, there we go. Can you see the pictures, or are they not coming through? There's nothing there.
They're not coming through on the
Yeah.
big slide.
You can see them on the side though. They look really cool over there.
Well, you can kind of see them over there, I guess. I don't know why they.
There is a button, Wendy. There's a button at the top of your screen. I think it's set up slideshow. Click that and see if that fixes the view.
I think what it is, I think it's a connectivity issue, so it may just not.
Oh, there they are.
You can see it on the side.
Can you enlarge that side on the? Can you enlarge that column over there on the left to make it bigger?
I just don't think it's going to work. I think we're going to have to eliminate the slides for today. So sorry about that. But what I wanted to share with you is about being visible and some of the things about my own personal story. So when my story actually starts when I was a little kid, and when I was a little girl, I was so super shy. To call me shy is really an understatement. I was like painfully, cripplingly shy. When I was little, my mom had a friend that would come over all the time. And from the time before I was even born, she would come over and visit. And every single time she would show up, I would run and hide in my bedroom. And I was 7 years old before I would even say hi to her, before I would run off and hide. My kindergarten teacher told my mom that she wanted me to bring show and tell every day, so that or every week, so that I would get over this shyness. So every week my mom would have me bring something, and she would rehearse with me at home what to say when I got up in front of the class. My teacher would have me come up there in front of everybody, and I would stand there and not say anything. So every week she would tell my mom, well, she didn't say anything again. Then when I was like, I had a hairdresser one time that even asked my mom, is your daughter deaf? And my mom said, no, why? And she said, well, because I talked to her and she doesn't say anything. And then she would see me signing, because we had friends in the neighborhood that had taught us some sign language. So that's how shy I was. And this did not just stop when I was a little kid. On into my teen years, when I was in high school, somehow they put me in drama class. And this was like a fate worse than death. I was just, like mortified that I was going to be in drama class and I was going to have to stand up in front of people and do scenes with other people. And so I would skip class. But because I was a really good student and I wasn't the kind of kid who skipped class, I didn't even know where people go when they skip class. So I would go hide in a bathroom stall and hope the hall monitor didn't catch me. So again, fast forward, even after I got married, I was still painfully shy. I remember one time at this party, my husband had left the room to go get us drinks. And one of his friends came up and started asking me questions and trying to make conversation. And I was just standing there awkwardly looking off into space, hoping my husband would come back and rescue me, So I was so shy that when people would talk to me, I couldn't even think of a single thing to say. I couldn't even make words form. My throat would just close up. So if you had said you wanted to think about what a successful business owner looked like, I would have been the last person that would have come to your mind. So imagine how surprising that was when a little bit after that, I saw a national ad campaign for a multi-level company that did cosmetics and skincare and image consulting. I, for some reason, was just really taken with this opportunity, and I really wanted to do this business because, of course, if you can't even talk to strangers, being in commission sales is just the perfect job for you. So I put my $500 down because it was $500 to get your kit in those days. I did not tell my husband at all that I had, spent that much money, because I thought I'll just sell some products and, I'll make enough money, put it back in the account before he even has a chance to complain about it. So then I went to training, which was a 3-day training that they offered. And in that training, they talked about the value of having inventory, because you'll sell more products if you have, inventory readily available. So I put in another $1,500 to get my inventory. So now I'm in $2,000 without my husband's knowledge. And so I had to make this work. But the only problem, I had no clients. So I thought, where am I going to get clients? So I had this brainstorm. There's lots of people in the phone book. So I'm just going to call people out of the phone book. So it did not take me very long to figure out this was not a viable sales strategy, but that's what I started doing. So then I decided, because the company had said, you know, um, one of the things they talked about in training was the value of recruiting, and that's where some of your income would come from. So I had thought, okay, I didn't have any clients to recruit from. So I decided that I would put an ad in the newspaper. So I put an ad in the newspaper, and I got about 20 recruiting ads set up, or recruiting interviews set up. And so from those, I recruited 3 people in my first month. So I had sort of a false sense that this was going to be easy. And then one of my recruits said, okay, I don't know what to do in business. So I want to follow you for a day and see what it is you do so that I know how to do it. Well, again, I didn't have any clients. I wasn't doing it yet. So I thought, okay, the mall, that's where people hang out. So I decided to go to one of the stores. I brought the recruit with me, and I went into one of the clothing stores and asked them, hey, can I set up a table and sell my products here in your store? And the lady told me that they were a national chain and that they couldn't let me do that. But she said, the mall is having a big fashion show in a few weeks. And um, maybe they're having some vendors in the mall. Maybe you can be part of that. And so she gave me the contact information, and it was funny because my knees were shaking. I was so nervous even talking to her. But I was pleased that I had pushed myself to do it. And also that even though I didn't get the result I had expected to get, I got actually a better result. So the ironic thing about that, though, is when we left the store, my recruit said to me, oh, I realize I can't do this business. She said, you just went in there like that, and it seems so easy for you, but I could never do what you do. So ironically, by pretending I was confident, I had scared off my first recruit. But that being said, I did the fashion show event, and it was very successful, and I got lots of business from it. And that helped, set me up for some more successes in my life. And so I was able to do more of that, kind of push outside my comfort zone. And then a few years after that, there was a show, a morning news and variety show that we had in our local area. And I wrote to them and I said, hey, I think you should do a segment on makeup and wardrobe for stay-at-home moms. And so about a week later, I got a phone call from them, and they said, yeah, we want to have you on the show. Well, I nearly had a heart attack because I really did not think that I was even going to get a response. And now I was going to be on TV. So I didn't tell anyone that I was going to be on there, because I thought, if I know that people are watching, I'm going to be even more nervous than I already am. So I didn't tell anybody, but I went and did the show. The morning of, I was literally sick to my stomach. I went and did the show, and the show went very well, went without a hitch. And so um, the show then had me on, kind of frequently after that. And as a matter of fact, another morning show started a few years after that, and they started having me on frequently too. So I was kind of like really expanding in my confidence and my comfort level by then, and really kind of stepping into myself. And so in that company, I was the number 2 in the region, could not seem to bump off that number 1 girl. But I was winning awards and accolades, winning diamond rings and trips and cars. And the local radio stations and newspapers were frequently covering what I was doing at that point too. So I was really living the life, and a lot of, great things had come from it. And so now I'm going to skip over a bunch of details because fast forward to a couple of different business changes and change in cities. And here I am now in this area doing brand photography in the North Carolina area. But the thing about that story is I learned 4 different keys that to success, to my keys to success in that business that I think have carried me forward in the other businesses that I have had. And that is be persistent, be consistent, and be authentically you, and tell it in pictures. And I'm going to talk about all those things in a minute. But first, I wanted to say I also have a free report for all of you. If you're interested, it's called How to Prepare for Your Branding Shoot. If you're interested in receiving it, just put your contact information in the chat, your email address, and put free report, and I'll send it to you. Even if you're not thinking about photos right now, it's a great way to help yourself prepare, even if you're going to do some DIY photos. So just put your email and free report in the chat. But so there is a quote I love that says, water makes a hole in stone from its persistence, not its force. And this is one thing I learned too about being persistent, because in the early days of my first business, I would say at the end of the week, wow, I talked to 3 people and they all said maybe. So I might have some sales here soon. So if eventually I learned that maybe does not make a sale and that it's not really going to be helpful. And those people you can continue to nurture, but you need to keep asking other people. And so continuing to ask and ask and ask is the key, not being a pest to people, but to ask new people and have new people in the pipeline. One of my peers used to say, some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? And I really liked that because it was not implying that this sale is not important, but it's if this sale doesn't go through, it's part of an overall picture. Sales is a long game. And so it's, taking the time to build those relationships one by one. And, the success will come. So the success is just in the numbers. If you ask enough people, you will be successful. And persistence also means the follow up. So, like I say, those people that are not ready yet, you need to continue to follow up with people and with all of your prospects. I had a woman that I had contacted way back when, and she was the leader of the women's fellowship at a church, and she had expressed interest in a presentation for her ladies. And when I talked to her, she said, we've got this big thing going on right now, so why don't you call me in a couple months? So a couple months went by, I called her, and she said, well, now we've got this and this going on, so we're still not quite ready. Call me again. So this went on 3 or 4 times. And so I thought, is she just having a hard time telling me she's not really interested? So I was debating, do I even want to, call her again, or should I just give it up? Well, I decided to call her one more time. And so when I called her, she said, oh, thank you. She said, I was ready to schedule you, but I had lost your contact information. And so I prayed to God that you would call me, and now you did. And so I ended up, from that one presentation, I got a ton of business from it. And so, it really pays to be persistent. Another client I had one time, I had asked her when she was, she came to have her appointment, I asked her how she had heard about me. And um, she said, well, she pulled an ad out of her purse and she said, I saw your ad. Well, I hadn't run that ad in over 4 years at that time. So clearly she'd been hanging on to it until the timing was right for her. So you never know about the timing. And that's a part of putting those people in the funnel and keeping in touch with them. Another part of persistence is strategy, creating a strategy. And just as an aside, if you don't know how to create a good strategy for yourself, branding and marketing strategists can really help you save some time and money in the long run of cutting through all that and, getting to the heart of what kinds of strategies are going to be good for your particular business. But putting together, I have multiple marketing methods going on at any one time, because sometimes one thing will just sort of not work for a while, or it just, doesn't work the way it used to work or whatever. So having more than one thing in the works is really important. One time I did a bridal expo, and it was very expensive to do, but I came away with literally a grocery sack full of leads. It was huge. We got so many leads from that. So every day I'd scoop out a handful of leads and start calling them. And people were just booking appointments from those right and left. And so it was a really good event. So the next year I signed on and did that event again. And guess what? That next year I got 10 leads. I mean, go figure. So it's just like sometimes you do the same thing and it does not produce the same result. So there again, having multiple methods can really be helpful. The other thing about that strategy, sometimes you just need to make some minor little tweaks to your existing strategy. So I had a hairdresser that I was working with, and we were, kind of crossing over our clientele. And we decided to have a small series of workshops that were interactive. And so we called it an intimate evening of, and then, whatever the topic was. And this was before the internet. And the first day we had the tickets available, they sold out. So we picked a second date and promoted that again. And the same thing happened. They sold out immediately. So we asked everybody, why was this so interesting to you that you booked so quickly? Well, everybody said they were so busy, and this idea of an intimate evening, a quiet time away, seemed like an oasis to them. So we utilized that in our strategy, but that gets at the more you're aware of the motivations of your clients, the more that can inform your strategy. And then being persistent also means continuing with your education. And I mean by that, not only continuing education in whatever it is that your field is, but also learning new marketing and sales methods from other people that are doing maybe in other industries, but other people that are being successful, and coaches. And then that brings us to being consistent. That long ago fashion show, I had afterward lots of business on the books, and for a while. And then it dropped off. So I thought, oh, I got to do another event. So I created another event. I had business on the books for a while. So eventually I figured out that even when I was well established, I still had to continue doing those marketing things to bring the new clients in. But also it's really important to keep track of your existing clientele and making sure you're keeping in touch with them regularly too. So your existing clients need to know when you have a new product rollout, or there's something new going on in the industry, or even just that you care and that you are, that you're there for them and accessible. Consistency also means consistency in the tone and vision of your message. And this is where I wish you could see some of the pictures that I had put together. But the one client that I have, she's very vibrant and she's energetic, and she is humorous. And so in her branding session, she wore bright colors in her for her ads and for her shoot. And she was blowing confetti. She was doing jumping jacks and somersaults, literally. And so that is who she is, and that's what she brings to her business. And so it's important that her messaging matched that. And it does. So if she ever put together a really somber, straightforward message, it just would not be consistent. So that's where consistency applies too. Which brings us to being authentically yourself. You are not like anybody else in your business. And so when I created my first newsletter for my clients, it was all about image. So I had colorful pictures of, wardrobe and makeovers and things like that. And it was snail mailed to people. But I also included information about what my husband and I were doing and the funny thing the cat did. And, when I graduated from college with my marketing degree, my clients were right there cheering me on because they were part of everything that I was doing. And so that's one of the things that you'll still hear in marketing, that it's very important to put yourself to the level of comfort that you have with that, putting yourself out there so that people will see who you are, because the more that you show your personality, the more people will be naturally attracted to your message. And that brings me to 3 ways that you can show how you are different from everybody else. And that's through your point of view, your personality, and your why. So your point of view, what I mean by that is when you are doing your business, sometimes we think we have a lot of competition, but even say, like, let's look at a business coach, for instance, and let's say their focus is money. So what is your point of view about your work and your business and money? So maybe you have a coach that is all about mindset about money and attitude about it, to thinking about how to create wealth. Maybe you have another one that's all about, you know, not spending less so that you don't have to earn as much. Maybe you have another coach that is about putting money aside regularly so that you have a nest egg at the end of your career. And these are very simplistic examples, of course, but the whole point is, you think on the surface these business people are doing the same thing, but they're really not, because of their point of view. They might all be very successful and they might all be able to coach people to be very successful, but their business model and their target markets are completely different from each other. So that's one thing that sets them apart. And then the second is your personality. Are you quiet and serene? Are you perky and upbeat? What are your favorite colors? What do you like to do in your off time? What kinds of things do you like to eat? What's your family like? Where do you vacation? So all of these things have really nothing to do with your business, but they have to do with who you are, and they inform the decisions that you make and the direction that you take your company. So they really are relevant. And again, the more you let that shine, and the more your clients and your prospects get you and want to be the right people, the people that are more likely to be your clients, are sort of naturally attracted to you. And then there's your why. So everybody in business has one or more reasons why they've gotten into that business. Is it because you want to spend more time with your family? Is it because you can make more money than you could in a corporate job? Maybe you have a gift that you feel that you need to get out there to the community. Whatever it is, your why is different than all your other competitors. So when you combine that, your point of view, your personality, and your why, you are so different than anybody else. And guess what? Somebody is out there looking for your particular products and the way you deliver it. So you can utilize that. The next part of that is making sure you tell it in pictures. And so some interesting statistics, that 140 billion pictures are now uploaded to Facebook currently. There are more pictures taken every 2 minutes now than in the entire 1800s combined. They say that the average person sees 5,000 ads every single day. So what does this mean for your clients? This means they are bombarded and inundated with data and pictures. And so how in the world do you get yours seen by them? Sometimes it feels like when you're in a business, you got into the business to be a baker or a florist or whatever it is you do, but now you feel like you have to be a marketing expert, and you have to, they say, post on social media every day and all these things. So sometimes it feels like we're having to work harder, and you're not sure how to, determine what the result is going to be. So that's one of the things that a brand photographer actually does for you. You shouldn't have to think about all that and figure it all out. So let's dissect pictures themselves for just a minute. When stock photos, a lot of people use stock photos, and especially when they're starting out in business. And there's nothing inherently wrong with stock photos. They're usually professional quality and well lit and things like that. But when everybody uses stock photos, guess what? Everybody looks exactly alike. There's no differentiation between you, and it doesn't really show who you are and what you do. So when you have branded photos, that's one of the things that really starts showing your personality, and it starts showing people, like your process and your behind the scenes. It shows people what you do, how you do it, what your office looks like. It really makes people feel like they've already had an appointment with you. They feel like they've already done business with you. So it bridges that gap and makes them already feel comfortable. So that's one thing that really helps. The next thing I wanted to mention is color. A lot of You can utilize color because, first of all, color has a psychological aspect on people, and there are a lot of people that wear and surround themselves with neutral colors, and that's fine. But in advertising and marketing, color attracts, and so when you use a pop of color, it can really make a difference in getting seen in that sea of images. So well-placed color, and that means with a person's wardrobe, accessories, the room, everything in the room, the props, all of those things. And there's another aspect to color as well when people use it in advertising. And I want you to look this week, just pay attention to some of the ads you see on TV or in magazines or whatever. Some of the drug commercials, especially, like if you look at that, they'll have maybe their logo is red and orange or whatever, and you'll see that they'll have the actors or the models wearing those colors. They'll throw a ball, and the ball is that color. The dog's collar is that color. The coffee mug they're using is that color. That's a subtle reinforcement of their brand, and it helps you remember it. So when those big companies with big marketing budgets are using that as a strategy, it's a great time for you to utilize that as a strategy as well. And then the other thing with color, in the shooting and editing of photos, we can utilize some strategies as far as color saturation, hue and tone, and highlights and all kinds of things, contrast. We utilize that when we're shooting and when we're editing so that we can match the mood and the theme of your existing gallery, but also of what your personality, your point of view, and your why is, so that everything is cohesive. There's also the framing. So how much of that scene do we put in? How what angle do we do that from? And where is the person positioned within that frame? What's in the background? Are there distracting elements in the background? You don't need to be thinking about all of those many things about photos, but those are the things that differentiates really good photos from just average photos, and is one of the things that makes your photos stand out from the rest. So I want to just ask now, I want to ask you a couple of questions. How many of you would like to have more visibility in your business? And how many of you would like to be the one that people think about when they think about your products or services? How many would like to up-level your business this year? So if you've answered yes to any of these questions, I have a special offer for you. Anybody that purchases, well, you don't have to purchase it, but if you make a commitment before Sunday to any kind of package that I offer, my headshots start at $80, and the 2 headshot packages, and I've got 3 branding packages. And so the branding packages start at $175. Every package right now, if you commit to it, you don't have to have the shoot till later if you don't want to, but if you commit to that, you can get the next level up of a package for no extra charge. So I can send you the details if you want to. Just let me know that you want those details, since you didn't get to see them in the slides. But I know what happens. You think, yeah, I want to have some more visibility, and I want to have a gallery full of images for content. But you leave here, and then things get busy. You don't get to it. And I also know that like, especially us women, we have these voices in our heads that we say, well, I don't have the budget, I don't have the time, but it's only an hour. So I know you can carve out that kind of time. And the prices that I have, even my regular prices, much less the deal that you're getting, are affordable to all business people. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of that, because the other thing that we tell ourselves all the time and I hear this all the time with pictures, is people say, well, I want to wait till I lose weight. Want to wait till I cut my hair. Want to wait till I have a new outfit. But guess what? Do you want to wait on your visibility until then? Or do you want to show up and show the world who you are right now? And then when you reach those milestones, you can have some more pictures taken. So I really hope you take advantage of this offer, because I see you and I want your prospects to see you too.
Super exciting, Wendy. Great job.
And
I
you didn't need the slides. This is great.
And
Thanks.
Wendy, I love how you say that. Do it now, whether you are overweight or whatever. Because I have to agree with that 100%, because look at me. I got pictures of me heavier and now I got pictures of me skinnier, but I'm still the same person. But there's a difference in, the years and stuff. People don't realize that, how important that is.
And our clients don't care about any of that stuff.
They don't?
It's kind of like the real estate agent who never looks like their picture on their placard or on their business card. It was the photo from like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Yep, seen a lot of those.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording for now.